Hey everybody, welcome back to Kat's Kitchen. I'm so glad you guys are back here with me for another episode. And in today's episode, what we are going to be doing is storing away some of our rice and pinto beans. I'm going to do some for short-term and some for long-term storage. So I'm going to show you how I do that. And I just want to take a quick moment and thank you guys for being here with me. I know that time is very precious, and I just am very grateful that you want to spend that time here watching, the videos here that I have for you. So today, like I said, we're gonna start with our short-term storage. I have some white rice here. I have two 25-pound bags, and then I have one, let me see here. Then I have one 12-pound bag of pinto beans. And the reason why I'm preserving them this way and I'm doing things in such a volume is because just for a few reasons. So one of the first reasons is when you buy them in bulk, you get a cheaper price. So in these dried goods, dried pantry goods are things that will last a while as long as you keep them dry and you keep bugs from getting into them. So that's what I'm going to show you here today, how I store them. And I'll also give you a few other tips and if you want to store them for extra long term. But so that's the main reason why I do it, is because it's just cheaper up front to buy them this way, and then we store them and then we have them for whenever we need them. And then the other thing is for, say, if there is, a big storm, if we come down with colds or whatnot, or for whatever reason, it could be job loss, it could be anything, it could be inflation. All those reasons were covered because we purchased this food at that set price at that time. So we're actually getting ahead of inflation a little bit too. So that's also another reason why I do shop that way. These products are from Sam's Club if you're interested. I'm sure they have the same similar products at Costco if you're a member there, or at other grocery stores. So what you're gonna need here are just a few things. So for the short-term storage, and this would be good for anywhere between 6 months to 1 year, I'm gonna be storing some rice in these big containers. Now these have locking lids on them. And I'm gonna have to get these apart here, but these are pretty big, and they have these locking lids. I have two of these large ones. My smaller ones right now are holding some other things up in my cupboard here, such as oatmeal and a brown sugar, I think, is in one of them. And then I also have, I think I have a smaller one of rice up there too. So what I'm gonna do, and then it came with these little labels. So I'm just going to probably fill at least one of these up with white rice. And it also came with a little measuring scoop too. So this is just extra convenient. So that's gonna be my short-term storage. And for the long-term storage, what you're gonna need, oh, and just a little tidbit here, for these containers, all you really need, like I said, is for bugs to keep out of them and for your food to stay really, really dry. And preferably if you have something with some form of a gasket or a rubber piece to really keep out that moisture, is really going to be helpful. So this could be a glass jar with a screw top lid with a, kind of like what I keep my coffee and my monk fruit in back here. It's a glass jar with a wooden lid, but it has a rubber gasket around it. Anything like that you can find, and you can find a lot of these in the thrift stores too. But if you're doing online, I know Walmart and Amazon, they sell these kind of things too. So that's that. What we're gonna do for the long-term storage, and you can do this in a few different ways, but this is the way I've done it in the past and it works out, is we're gonna put the food in these brown paper lunch bags, and these usually hold around a pound. So I'm gonna measure them on my scale, either about a pound per bag, and then I'm gonna cut to fit some vacuum sealing bags. I have two different sizes here. I'm just gonna work with what I have. I can fit both of these, these are the smaller ones on my paper bags. So I'm just gonna work with these and see how many I can do. And then we'll seal them up with our vacuum sealer. And then you're just gonna need a pair of scissors and a Sharpie to make some labeling. And then whatever dried food that you're trying to preserve up. So yeah, a few other ways you can do this that's a little bit more efficient for long-term storage. This kind of storage here is probably going to be good for up to 2 years. So past that year mark, up to that second year, you may be able to get like 2.5 years out of it. If you want to, you can buy some oxygen absorbers and put that inside the bag before you seal it up. That's also another way. If you really want to go, a different route, you can also buy some food grade buckets with gamma lids. Gamma lids are the ones that screw on. They're actually threaded, and you can just screw them right on. And I've heard a few people just going to local bakeries or probably even local places that are big establishments. Try your local Sam's or Costco or your Walmart, Giant Eagle, etc. Ask them if they're able to sell some of their gamma lids, because they get things shipped in such mass quantity that they have a lot of those buckets, and oftentimes they'll sell them to you at a much lower cost than you buying them brand new. Granted, you're going to have to clean them. They may have icing or something in them you may have to clean, but if you're looking for a little bit of a cheaper option, there's a good one for you. So you can use those. You can also use Mylar bags. Mylar bags are the foil type bags. You probably have to order those on Amazon, I reckon, and then you're probably going to want to use an oxygen absorber with those. And then with that, then you could use, I know some people will take the air out of the Mylar bags and some people don't, they just seal them up. But I'm not obviously demonstrating that today. I'm just going to show you what I've got here. But those other things are just some other options for you if you want to look for even longer than probably a 2-year storage. I would look into something such as the Mylar bags. So let's get started here. I'm just going to kind of play the video and let you guys see what I'm doing here. I'm going to have to fight to get these two things apart, so I'm going to do that first and make sure these are clean, and then we're going to get rolling here. So guys, thanks for being with me. Thanks for being you, and I will see you guys real soon here, right back whenever I'm done getting these two things apart.
So friends, here we are. I'm just starting out with filling up our large containers here with the rice. And this is pretty self-explanatory. I ended up filling up both of our large containers that we have because you'll see later on that I actually have problems with getting my little vacuum sealer to work. And then now I am labeling our little lunch bags, just doing white rice, and then I'm putting the month and the year on it. So I like to work as efficient as possible, so I like to make out some of these bags first, and then I'll start filling them and weighing them out. So what I'm doing here is just using my canning funnel to just make sure that I get the rice in the bag instead of spilling it all over the place. And I do have to hold the funnel the whole time, but it's definitely helping, to contain that rice so it doesn't go all over the table and the floor. I found that these bags will comfortably hold, you could probably put 2 pounds in them, but they comfortably hold about 1.5 pounds. So that's about a 1.5 pounds to 1.25 pounds, I'd say would be fairly comfortable. And then I'm just folding that over and putting a piece of tape down the middle. You want to make sure that when you tape these bags, if you are going to vacuum seal them, that you don't want to put the tape across the entire bottom part of the flap of the bag, because when you're using your vacuum sealer, you want to be able to pull out all of the air that's inside the bag. That's one thing that I found out doing this before. So you see I'm folding it, and then I'm just putting one piece of tape down the middle. That way there's still room on both sides of that flap for air to come out. So I just keep working, I'm filling up my bags here, and then we're going to cut some of those vacuum sealing bags to fit. Make them a little bit bigger than what you think that you need, because they definitely need a little bit more room, especially whenever you go to seal them. And as far as how many pounds of rice or beans that you want to put in your bags, like I said, just use your own discretion in how big your family is and what you normally need at one point. This is also a really good bartering item as well. I know I don't talk a lot on those kind of things, but I would like to mention that, because when you buy things in bulk like this, and say you have family or friends or neighbors that maybe you guys just want to swap something, or you guys need someone needs something and you can just trade or barter instead of having to go out and buy, that's always an option as well. I think we don't realize how much we actually barter and trade, because I know, at least out, in the country or out in certain areas where, like, say someone will help you, you might have someone help you with either plumbing or electrical or something around the house, and then you would just either swap services or swap different products. Another good example of that is, if you do get half a cow at a time, or if you go hunting and you have a lot of wild game, a lot of people will swap services for that kind of good protein as well. So just good things to keep in mind. And when these little parcels are packaged up nicely like this, and they're pretty much ready to go, which is awesome. So you can see here, I'm just finishing this first bag of rice. And I did want to mention too that the day before I did this, I put the bags of rice and the bag of beans in my deep freezer. You want to do that for at least 24 hours. And the reason is for that is in case there's any larvae on them, it'll kill them, and then you're able to package them up for long-term storage. So now I'm going to start getting my vacuum sealing bags ready. I do keep a brown paper bag in between the plates on my vacuum sealer, just to keep it clean and, keep them safe and while in storage. So here I'm showing you, this bag ended up being a little too small for what I needed, but I'm just sealing the one end right here, making sure it's sealed. And then you just have to figure out how your little bag will fit in there the best. So I had to turn it on its side, but I still needed it to be a little longer. I tried to seal it here just to see if it would work, and it's not. So I'll save that one for something else. But I do use it as a guide to give myself a few more inches on the next bag. So this vacuum sealer was sealing the bags just fine, but whenever I go, and you'll see here coming up, whenever I go to use the vacuum seal, it just would not work. So I don't know what was going on there. Mark had just used it not too long ago, but I'm not sure if he used the vacuum seal or if he just did the seal. So I'll have to ask him and see what's up there. So now we get this one to fit, and then here I'm trying to get this vacuum sealer to work, and it usually doesn't take this long. Usually it starts pulling the air out, within the first 10 seconds, and this just did not work for me. So you see me trying to fight with it a little bit. So I've switched over here from, now that I found out that my vacuum sealer wasn't working, I grabbed some quart Ziploc bags, and I'm just putting our little bags of rice inside them. So they're going to have a little bit of a 2-layer protection from insects and obviously moisture. Now, as far as how long this will last, this will at least last a good, I would say, year to a year and a half this way. I prefer to vacuum seal them, but I'll tell you what, they are so tight in these bags that there's really not a lot of space or air. So I still think that that's why they're going to be good for at least a year to a year and a half. Now, obviously, I'm doing this because I'm improvising on this day, and I really need to get this project done. But if I eventually get a vacuum sealer that's going to be working for me, I can always go back and redo these bags so that they're ready for longer term storage. So here I'm getting ready to do our pinto beans. And obviously, because we're not using the vacuum sealer at this point, I grabbed a few gallon size freezer bags. And so what I'm going to do is just evenly distribute the 12 pounds across my bags here. I believe I do 4 pounds in each bag, just evenly distributed, and then seal them up nice and label and date them, and then they're good to go. And the best scoop I found for this was my glass measuring container there that you see, my liquid measuring container. It doesn't need to be super precise. It's totally up to you. I just, I'm kind of being a little bit more precise because I do have a scale. And obviously this went tremendously fast because I was obviously filling up a little bit more volume here in these bags. Now, if you want to, you can freeze these as well. So like I told you before about freezing the rice and the beans before, we actually package them up to kill the larva. If you wanted to add a little extra protection or longevity to your storage, you could definitely freeze these as well. However, when you do freeze something, you do have to consider freezer burn, so just keep that in mind. You may want to either double up on these bags if you're trying to go, longer than a year, if you're going to store them in the freezer. So some people may wonder why I don't just leave the rice and beans in their original package. And I do this for a few different reasons. So for a really good example, this pinto bean bag actually had a hole punctured in it and I had to tape it. So oftentimes the original packaging isn't very sturdy for long term. And then also I wanted to be able to have it already portioned out into what our family needs. So just a little tidbit there on why I am doing this. And the other reason too is if you happen to get one bag that gets compromised with either pests or moisture, your entire batch doesn't get destroyed. So we're not keeping all of our eggs in one basket here, as it were. Now you can also can these beans too if you would like a different way to preserve them. And that's always a good option. Here what I'm doing is I'm just cleaning up a little bit, taking the garbage out, redden up, and then we're going to get all of our beans and rice together so that I can show you what I did, and then we'll put them in storage. Every time I do a project, I always clean as I go, and I'm usually in and out of the kitchen in really good time whenever I do that, because if I leave it towards the end, then I end up having a big mess on my hands. So I always recommend for people to just clean up a little as they go, keep it nice, and then it's not a big chore at the end.
Okay guys, so we did it. I'm sure you noticed that my little vacuum sealer stopped working for me. It would turn on, but it wasn't, the vacuuming part was not working for me. The sealer would work, but not that. So what I did is I just took quart bags like you saw me, and I put our rice in here, and there's really not a lot of negative space in here. This will still last a long time in here. I'm going to store these downstairs in my pantry. We ended up getting a lot of rice. I have 2 of these large ones, and this smaller one is what I keep up here in my kitchen. So I have 2 of these big ones, 1 of these small ones, and let's see how many packets we have. And these packets ended up being about 2 1/4 pounds per piece. And I got 12 of these little packets. And with our 12 pounds of pinto beans, since I wasn't able to use. All right, friends, so we did it. Like I said, I am just going to, and then our pinto beans here, I ended up putting them in 3-pound bags, in my quart bags. So yeah, so that is everything. Probably what's gonna happen is I'm probably gonna look for another little vacuum sealer, and if I do get that, I'm gonna go back and probably seal all these bags up, you know, with vacuum seal bags, just so that they're proper for longer term storage. Or like I said, if I maybe get some more of these containers, I'll just maybe transfer them in here, because that'll at least keep them a little bit cleaner, safer, you know, away from bugs and whatnot. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just a little quick video on how to store some of your dry goods for your pantry for short-term and long-term. And if you guys have any good recommendations down below for a really good vacuum sealer, I would appreciate it, and I'll look into that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, friends.